believe in human rights. I believe in people being treated humanely. I do not like discrimination, and I won't tolerate it because it's evil and it's criminal.
Alison was born in Auckland, New Zealand in 1942. She was one of 4 children. It was a traumatic upbringing in the leafy suburb of Mount Albert.
I was born on the 20th of May, 5th month, 1942. We lived at Mount Albert at number 32 Gordon Road. It was a very tragic childhood. My dad used to continuously physically assault me. He used to come home from work at 6:30 every night and ask my mother how had I been behaving. And she used to fill him in of a pack of lies, and he'd just get stuck into me when I told him I hadn't done anything. He said, well, I believe your mother any day, not you, Alison. I'll deal with you in a minute. He went into such a state he didn't know what he was doing. My brother Lance had to pull him off me before he really killed me.
Alison received many beatings growing up. She also suffered encephalitis of the brain, a condition caused by chickenpox. This rare condition left her with minor brain damage.
Well, I had childhood illnesses and they caused capsulitis of the brain, and the doctors kept on saying I had meningitis. I never had meningitis. I had capsulitis of the brain, and I was taking seizures and nearly died in them. Mum told me. Dad said it was touch and go, and it caused a brain injury. And people just had weird ideas. They didn't know how to handle stuff like that in those days. They had never heard of a lot of things.
At 8 years old, Alison was driven by her parents to Kingseat, a new government institution set up to house people with perceived mental illness.
I saw Mum packing a suitcase in the dining room, and I was just standing there watching her. I said, what are you packing that suitcase for? I said, those look like my clothes. Where am I going? And she said, you're going to your Auntie Pat's for a week's holiday. And the next morning, Dad carried out the suitcase, put it on the back seat of the car. I got in the front seat with Dad, and Dad kept on driving and driving and driving. I said, where am I going? I said, we must be nearly there. He said, it won't be long. And next thing, he turned into this long driveway with palm trees, beautiful gardens, and there was this white building in front, and I saw nurses and doctors there. The doctors had white coats on, and I said to my father, I said, this looks like some type of a hospital. I've had a dirty trick played on me. Sure enough, I was right. That was so they could lure me there. If I'd have known, I wouldn't have gone. I would have run away from home and I wouldn't have been seen for dust. That was the room I was locked up in. That one there brings back memories. Brings back bad memories. When Dad had finished signing the papers, they gave me a bath, and I said, I want to go home. I don't like this place. They said, if you can behave yourself for a fortnight, you can go home. And I was 6 months in that, locked up in that observation ward of all those women. See the shutters on the windows? I've been in those sorts of rooms, locked up for weeks. I remember those shutters, though it was yesterday. I used to get dragged down the corridor by staff by the feet and the hair, and they throw me into a seclusion room there. I said, what are you keeping me here for? You're forcibly imprisoning me. I shouldn't be here. And I screamed and screamed and screamed at them, pleaded with them to let me out. The treatment of patients was appalling, I'll tell you right now. Disgusting. My parents got me out of that place in the finish because they were just letting me run wild, and I was sexually assaulted at knife point by a male patient there when I was aged 11. I just went to the bushes to pick some flowers, and he followed me and he threatened me at knife point, and it was horrible what he did, and I reported him. They brought all these guys up the next day and I pointed them out to them, and they said he got into trouble for it. They locked him up. I told my parents when they came, and they said, that's it, we're getting you transferred out of here to the other hospital. And I said, take me home and don't have me transferred to any more of those hospitals. I want to come home. I want to live a normal life. I don't need to be in these hospitals. They wouldn't listen to me.
At age 12, Alison was transferred to the Auckland Mental Hospital, later known as Carrington.
I stayed at the Auckland Mental Hospital till my late 40s. It was a horrible place. They had this fashion of locking people up. They had shutters they could lock over the window. They'd throw you in an empty room, as big as that, slam the door and lock it and leave you there. You'd be freezing cold. You had no clothes on, no toilet facilities, no bed, nothing. And you'd be calling out for a drink of water and you'd end up drinking your own urine. That's how thirsty you were. The nurses used to look into you to see what you were up to. And if they saw you up to no good, they'd get reinforcements, unlock the door and come in with a couple of hypodermic needles to give you filled with formaldehyde and knock you out. Some of them used to brainwash me with some of the things they were repeating over and over again to me. I used to pray to God, actually. I'm a good Christian. I used to go to church too sometimes on a Sunday. I had a lot of friends that used to stick up for me, nurse friends that stuck up for me. And they used to have us working. I used to have to use very heavy electric polishers, the big commercial ones, same with the big commercial vacuum cleaners. I used to have to push heavy wardrobes, hurt my back, my wrists, never got anything done for me. I think it's absolutely cruel, and I'm still suffering today for what they've done, the damage they've done to me.
In 1990, Alison left Carrington and spent several years in care facilities. But after 50 years in institutions, Alison was finally given her own home, thanks to Citizen Advocacy and Spectrum Care.
I first met Alison back in the mid-90s. I was doing a dissertation on deinstitutionalisation and quality of life. I went and asked a couple of organisations if I'd be able to talk to people for my case studies, and two people were very interested, and one of those was Alison, and she was very interested in talking about her life. When I first met her, you know, she had been, like a lot of people, had been turfed out of institutions into the community that wasn't in the slightest bit interested in having them. And so Alison came out very angry and very ill-equipped to deal with people. We had to sort of figure out a way for her to move on with her life, and that she had to accept that she had some responsibility, some self-responsibility as to how she was going to get this life that she wanted.
I read in the paper about patients making claims against the government and taking certain parties to court. So I thought, well, I'm going to get the ball rolling, and that's exactly what I did. I picked up the telephone, and next thing I had solicitors from Wellington coming to see me. They found out I'd never had a mental illness, never had an intellectual disability. They found out that I was the victim of the system, of false imprisonment. I was told by one psychiatrist that they were breaking the law, keeping me under the Mental Health Act, and that if they didn't discharge me for mental health services, take me off committal, they could be liable by law. 19th of April 2012, you have a claim seeking compensation for the suffering and distress you endured as a patient at King's Seat and Carrington hospitals. Your experiences were clearly traumatic, and I can only imagine how vulnerable you must have felt. And I offer my heartfelt apologies for all that you have had to endure. I genuinely hope that my acknowledgement of your claims and this apology will help you to bring some closure to these past experiences, give you a sense of peace and help you move forward positively with your life. I am encouraged that what you experienced should not be repeated today. I'm glad I made that court case because I've been told that it's going to leave avenues open for other people to do the same. But unfortunately, things take time to improve, don't they?
Today, Alison meets regularly with Julie, her advocate and friend. She also continues to fight for the human rights of people who live with disabilities. A relentless fight after living 50 years under the system.
Alison's life is so different now to when I first met her. I think it's been an amazing transition, amazing journey for her. I think she is in a happy place, but she will always say that there's room for improvement.
I just want to see positive attitudes come out of the negative attitudes and all the barriers removed that restrict people with disabilities from having a normal life the same as able-bodied people have, and to be treated equally, to have full human legal rights, freedom of speech, freedom of independence, and be able to move freely in the community without being discriminated against. And that's what human rights is all about.